So today I'm joined with Mohammed Arshad, who heads up Decoding Data Science community. Really excited by the conversation today, see where we go with this. But why don't we start off by telling us a little bit about the community, about how it started, what you're doing with it, what your objective is, some of the things you've been up to.
Yeah, so thanks a lot, Andrew, for inviting me for this podcast. Decoding Data Science, this started as a community 3 years back. A few of the data scientists that were there, 3 of us, saw the meetups. There is nothing in the data and AI space. And this was much before ChatGPT. And we thought that we should just catch up for a coffee meetup and start the discussion. So we had our first meetup in August 2022 in Mall of Emirates, where 3 of us decided and we met. And then we kept as a goal every Thursday, 7 p.m., first Thursday of we will meet in a coffee shop in Mall of Emirates. And this became like a ritual. And we never missed any coffee meetups. From there, we started our meetup group. So we did not have a meetup group for the first 3 months. And then we officially made a meetup group, invited more people to join in. And this was the birth of the community. And why the name Decoding Data Science? Because I have been very closely working with data. And everything that we see right now is all about data. The AI that we're talking, AI agents. Just recently, I was doing a consulting project. The company was spending a lot of money in AI agents. And end of the results were very bad because they did not catalog their data. And then we spent a lot of time in making sure, because there were conflicting information from their data about their HR policies. And how will the AI, if you give AI 2 conflicting things, how will the AI know which one to pick up? So that is the time that every company used to spend on making sure that the data is fine. So that's the reason why I'm focusing on data. A lot of people ask me why this name. That's why I thought I will tell you this, because I still feel data is the core, and whatever is going to happen next year, quantum is going to be there. Still data will be the core. So that's how we started this. And what I am trying to create an ecosystem right now. I have been doing academy for the last 8 years. I was a part of Accenture learning team, how to give capsule knowledge to people. Because theory everyone knows and they don't actually apply it. The colleges are already doing that. But how we do is we give some small projects and people actually do it. So that is what we are trying to do in the academy. The community is trying to bridge the gap between the business, the learning, and everyone together. So we are trying to create a whole ecosystem. And what we have told ourselves that we are not only data, AI, we want to be emerging tech. When I say emerging tech, anything that is new, anyone wants to learn, because we don't know what's going to happen next year. So we need to keep ourselves updated with all the latest things and how to stitch everything together. And this is what is our mission.
Yeah, it's a really active community as well. It's something I've been really pleased to be part of. It's almost a year now, I think, coming up. What I'm really blown away with is by how vocal, how active the members of the community are at all levels. Because you've got some really junior people who are just starting their careers, really hungry to do things. And you've also got some very senior people there, some thought leaders, people who are contributing at really quite impressive levels within the community. And I think it's very indicative of the UAE at the moment that everyone at all stages is getting involved. How have you found it? How easy was it to set up to reach out to these people?
So the good thing that I have been doing is, as we all say, when you start something, you need to be a little bit specialist in that. The good thing about me specifically that I was coming for a good corporate experience. That was a big plus point for me. When I came to the UAE, I came on a project for Nakhil from Accenture Consulting.
Yeah, okay.
And I had a good experience. And then the time when I came to the UAE, when I was planning to move, this was just before the COVID times, and I did not know anyone in the UAE. And I was mostly in India. I had a lot of connections in Bangalore, India.
It was a brave time to move.
Yeah, it was a brave time to move. And I thought this is an opportunity to explore, because there was a lot of talks about AI and data and technology in the UAE back then as well. So what I started doing is, before moving here, I did a analysis on LinkedIn. What are the top 50 companies in the UAE that are into data and AI? AI was not the buzzword, but at least in this technology, and trying to reach out to the leaders or the senior managers and the managers there. So every day I used to send up to 25 connection requests to them. So before I even came to UAE, I had good number of people connected in my LinkedIn. There was a 50% acceptance rate because I used to personalize this and I built that base there. And then when I came here, I reached out to few of them. I met one-on-one with them on a coffee. This is before, and then I started building that network. So it was initially, yes, because of that passion and the credibility that I had, it was easy for people to come and join us. And UAE, as there are, it's a culture of lot of meetups. Everyone is open to meet
Yes.
each other, and that is how we have grown. And what is something that differentiates us is we do a lot of meetups regularly, even though it is hectic for us, but we do those things. And initially it took us some time. How I started this is I went and be part of lot of communities, but mostly they were not data and AI driven communities. They were digital marketing communities. Some were just business communities. There was an AWS community in which I was one of the UGs as well, the community builders. So I started my journey there. For the first 2 years, when I was in the UAE, I was part of different communities.
Yeah.
I used to learn how they are doing it. I used to speak in those communities. And then I build my base, and then I started this brand that is there in 2022 August. And yeah, the good thing, because I had built that, I've reached out to the Quotas HQ Ministry of AI office to ask for a space. So they have seen my credibility, and I have given some talks as well for the community, the Quotas HQ community, and they were okay for me to give a space. So they were very open to support this type of knowledge events. The only thing, and this is clear, and all our events are like that, is that we don't charge anyone. The community is completely free.
Yeah.
Anyone can join the community. And that was only the one condition that the government put across us, to keep all these events free. You can't make money out of these events,
okay.
which we are doing because we want people to get together. It's all knowledge sharing. So we got a lot of support. Lot of free zones are supporting us, which are led by the government. Like our last event we had in Dubai AI campus. So we just reached out to them that we are doing a knowledge sharing session, and they are okay to give us space. So this is a good thing
Yeah,
about the
very good.
UAE, that they are supporting these type of knowledge sharing events, and they are really open to support in this, where I will talk more about it later, the developer community. So what we are positioning is as a, not as a much of a business community right now, much more of a knowledge sharing community,
Yeah.
a developer community, which is what the government also wants to showcase, that UAE is a place for the future talent.
So let's talk about that a little bit, because
Yes.
part of the reason why I came to the UAE and the Middle East in general is because I was excited by the level of ambition that is happening, not just at the sort of government and infrastructure level, but at the corporate level and at the individual level. And it really does feel like a bit of a melting pot of ambition here at the moment. So I've been lucky enough to be part of the communities around Silicon Valley out in the US, and Silicon Oasis in London a few years ago. And now it feels like the UAE and the Middle East in general is absolutely the people pushing the boundaries and making the investments and looking really far forward about what does this mean for not just technology, but for society in general. What do you think makes this region in itself the most exciting place, the place to get involved with AI and emerging technology at the moment?
Yeah, so there are three things that I feel are important. The one is the vision. So there are some policies like the 2071 Senatorial policy and the 2030 national strategy that they have done. So they have a vision, and UAE is, if you see, one of the countries that had the initial Ministry of AI that was in 2017, which is, I think, one of the first in the world. So they had a vision. They knew that this is a technology. The name also is just a use of telling that how you can automate things. There is a lot of definitions of that word, but it is a future technology that is there, and there is a lot of use cases that are there. So you not only for AI that I'm telling right now, UAE has been doing this for a lot of technologies. So they had done this for even Web3 technologies, and this is what they feel right now as we speak. There is also a vision for quantum. And the great thing that AI really picked up, because it was at the right time and the buzz around it, because in Web3 blockchain, people are not seeing so many use cases at an individual level, but AI is impacting everyone, starting from non-technical business to even students and even the technology that we are using right now as a developer. So it impacted everyone's life. So there is a huge buzz about it. Everyone's life has been impacted because of AI. And that is the reason why a lot of people are talking about it, even at the school level to the corporate boardrooms. So that UAE is taking, now it is gone all hands on this. If you see they had organized a Dubai AI week.
Yeah.
So completely, it's a 5 days, and it was completely supported by the federal government as well. You can see everywhere there
There's
were
so much
posters.
going on then. It was great.
It was great. So they are focusing on it. It is not that it is UAE is going to stop at this. It is anything new that it feels like. Right now, as I speak, I do a lot of research on quantum, how quantum is going to impact. That is going to be the next way, because right now we are at the hardware level.
Yeah.
And you might also see that there is a new update of the 5 gigawatt data center that is happening in Abu Dhabi. So they are understanding, because at end of the day, you will see these technologies are derived by data centers and processors. So so they have a vision. And 5 gigawatt is way too much. When we are doing the maths, is it attainable, not attainable? Right now, we don't have that vision, but they have the vision, which we as a common man cannot see. And I feel that as we speak, there is going to be more and more data centers going to come up, because everything is going to get digitalized, and they are at the forefront of that. And also for driving these 5 gigawatts, you need quantum, because it cannot happen in just normal processors, and they are going to invest in that as well. So this is one thing that is there. The second thing is the talent. The talent that is there. UAE, Dubai has become a place, as you and me as well have come here to work. So it is giving a very good environment, not only for the national population, but also for the expats who are coming in here. They are getting a good infrastructure, a good lifestyle. So this is a good place to attract global talent. Even if it is the weather is some issues that keep coming, but a lot of people are making Dubai their second home. They work in the summers, they work from their home country, and in the winters they come here.
It's certainly getting warm again now.
Yeah.
I think we've said for a long time that the talent maturity here hasn't been how it might be if you compare to big centres like Austin, like New York, like London.
Yes.
It's harder to find that level, or it was harder to find that level of talent here. And so you ended up importing people. But I think what I've seen since I've been here certainly is that Dubai and Abu Dhabi is starting to mature a lot more, where people are less coming in on the Monday, leaving on the Friday, and going back to their first home. This is becoming a home for a lot of people. Certainly we moved out here with family and chose to settle here and make this our home for certainly not a short term. We're not sure how long yet, but we're very much committed to here. And I'm seeing that across the board. It feels like there is some real cultural growth here. There's some real investment, not just by the government, but by people who are investing their lives to make something interesting here. I find it really inspiring.
Yes.
It makes me think that there is a definite opportunity for people here in the region, which I'm really excited about. I think the one thing that I'm maybe not quite seeing yet is the join up between sort of the corporate, talented, senior people who are experienced in this field or becoming experienced, and the sort of the student level, the academics coming through. And how do corporates connect the two? How does the government connect the two? So we've got a true education through to delivery pathway there. You're probably a bit closer than this, particularly with things like the academy, but how do you see that evolving?
Yeah, very great question. So if coming to the talent, the local talent ecosystem, so UAE is spending a lot. They have come up with a only AI focused university called Mabuzai, and they have very much focused on learning the practical implementation theory as well as these type of projects. And Mabuzai, that is in Abu Dhabi, it is really supported by the G42 family as well. And the students that are part of that, they get a very good exposure to the industry as well. They have a master's level program as well as an undergraduate level program. So this is sponsored by G42. The fees, they give a lot of scholarships. So this is one initiative that they are really doing. And they are connecting with the corporates. So this is one very good use case that is happening. Also, there are a lot of colleges that are doing masters. They are also collaborating with the corporates for internships so that the students go there and learn the whole ecosystem. This is happening, and as the number of students, and also one more thing I wanted to add here is UAE is also becoming like a educational hotspot where a lot of colleges, not only the local but also international colleges, are coming and setting up their base here. So this is becoming a talent. There's an oversupply of talent that is there, but the number of jobs that are required actually are very less. But always you say, and this is also a big problem in the business, right? These companies look for experience, but these students who come out, they don't have real life experience. This is a big problem that is there. Very few of the lucky ones who are good in their college, they get that opportunity to get into internship, but 80% of the people are still struggling.
I find that really interesting because I talk a lot about team building and team dynamics, and one of the things that's always been very important to me, I'd be interested to hear your view on this, but is I like to have a mix of senior people with people who are maybe not quite so senior but looking to push where they are at the moment, looking for that chance to lead. But the really critical part for me is to have that intern level, to have that graduate level who honestly don't know what they can't do yet, who believe there are no barriers, you just go out there. And that hunger I find really powerful and really important to a team. So I've had great result running graduate programs. I will do in the future again. Look at how you take that intelligence, that talent, and that raw passion, and you partner them up with people who maybe have been doing this for 10, 15, 20 years. And between them, you raise the overall level of energy in the team and hunger in the team. It pervades throughout, and you get a great dynamic that's coming about. So do you see companies here embracing that, or are we still looking to show them the way?
Yeah, so great point. And there are 2-3 things that are hindering this problem that is there. Interns are, as I was telling you, some of the lucky ones who are good, they get an opportunity. Yeah. There is one more thing that it is a good thing for the ecosystem that is there, that a lot of companies here are also trying to do emeritization. What I mean by emeritization is getting the nationals to join corporates. And most of the companies here, they need to have a target to reach around 30% of emeritization, or else they need to pay some fines. So what I see in big companies here, the corporates, the talent that they are hiring, at least interns, and the chance that they are giving is for the national population, because it is a mandate as well. And it's a good thing because every country has to think about their citizens, and they are doing that. So this extra push, what you are saying, is happening in big companies like ADNOC. All the big companies, they have this where they get the graduates. They have a training of 3 months where they understand the whole ecosystem in whichever industry they are, and they get assigned a mentor, as you said. So they get involved in the whole company that is there. This is already happening. There's a bandwidth of companies of fresh hires, they're already doing that. But the problem comes for people who are not that lucky enough. So they have to find their own ways. So therefore my message is also for them, how they can do it. For them, they can't directly get jobs from their companies or from their colleges, or they have to reach out individually to companies.
So why don't we talk about this a bit? And this is a message for anybody out there who's watching this saying, how do I get into this industry? How do I start on this, given this much competition? So I'll give you my view, and then you tell me yours. I believe in hiring personality. I believe in hiring passion before I believe in hiring skills. I think skills give you a little bit of a groundwork to say that, okay, they've got an idea of what's going on. But at entry level in a career, I'm far more interested in the person, the passion that they bring to the table, and the evidence that they can work and they have ideas and they can join the dots. And ways to demonstrate that for me are get out there and make things. So if you're a coder, if you're a designer, if you're a coder, get out there and build things. Get into your code, show proofs of concept, stick them online. When you come to talk to me, or if you reach out to me, show me what you've got. Show me what you've got, and show me that it's interesting, that it's thought through. There's something that I might say, actually, there's a great idea. That might not be fully polished, but there's something there. And one thing that I love about generative AI these days is that you might be a brilliant coder with absolutely zero design skills, but you can get a mediocre output in design just by asking your LLM. So go all the way, build something that is fully complete and show me what you've got. And the same thing for designers. These days with things like Figma, connecting to Builder and able to generate code now without really knowing anything but natural language prompts, get out there and build something. Like I say, it doesn't need to be complete. Build something that's a proof of concept we can play with and show me, look, this is what I'm really keen at, and come and talk about it with passion. But tell me, what's your view?
On this note, so this is something that we do as a community. And on this note also, before I give my answer, so this is something that I want to also give you, as you were the mentor of one of these challenges.
Thank you.
And this is one of the building AI application challenges that we have done. And whatever Mr. Andrew, he was one of the mentors of that as well. And this is, I wanted to give on the live podcast, this small gesture from the community. And this is exactly what we do. And I'm sure you might have seen the amazing work that these participants have done, where they come up, they have 8 days, they bring an idea. It can be anything. We have kept it very open. They have any idea that they want to work on, their passion. They put that idea on a template, and then in the next 8 days, they work towards it. We have a lot of guided videos of what you want to use. For coders, it is much easier because it is Python. Mostly they use it and they can figure out with cursor and these a lot of AI tools. But for people who don't know coding, they want to learn, there are also a lot of low code, no code options that are there. So there are some references that they do. So the mission of this, we are doing this challenge for the right now also as we speak, we are launching our June 7th challenge because we see a lot of good use cases. Because the problem right now for even for the learner community is they are bombarded with information.
Yeah.
There is so much going on like MCP, agentic AI. Do you really need all that? Try to start building a small application end to end. If you have the wireframe ready, then you can always add on. This is what we tell, and that's the reason why I ask everyone, whoever in the challenge, have a working demo. Whatever it is, even if it is a small component, if you talk a lot of big things, but you don't have anything to show.
No PowerPoint. Don't want to see PowerPoint or Google Slides. Show us something real.
Yes.
I really agree with that. And look, I think the
Yeah.
one thing to stand out is make it specific to a use case that you need. So I have a list of little side projects, pet projects that I want to build as long as your arm. I don't have time. And my challenge is how do I keep focused on one to complete it before moving on to the next one? But there's so many things that you could use in your day-to-day life that AI could help you with, particularly as we start to look at agentic AI, about how it can take tasks off your hands and get things done while you're doing something else. Think about what would be useful to you, because if it's useful to you, there's a good chance it's useful to somebody else as well.
Yes. So you were talking about agentic AI. This was one client that they were requesting that they have a enterprise level chatbot. They want to make it better. And they were pushing that Arshad use agentic AI, all this new buzz that is there. And then when I was doing the troubleshooting, the problem was with the data. So however advanced you go, however powerful LLMs you use, if your data cataloging is not there, then there's no point of spending so much money. So again, it goes back to making small things work properly. And if you fix your data, if you are spending time in cataloging it properly, most of your problems will get solved. Because even with a simple LLM and good prompts and a good RAG application, you can solve 80% of the problems that are there. You don't need advanced. If it is a very critical application where you are doing something very special, then you may need to go into a lot of detail. But I feel agentic AI right now is too much overhyped.
I agree. And it's not real a lot of the time. When you think about the next person who talks to you about agentic AI, get them to give you one or two real examples that they're using, which are truly agentic, which will take a task off you and complete something. There's a few, but there's not as many as is made out at the moment.
Yeah.
I want to come back to what you said about how much learning, how much course material there is out there at the moment. It is quite tough to know where to start if you haven't done too much of this, if you haven't played around with too many areas. To know where you start, I think, can be quite tough for someone who's a newcomer, whether they're a graduate, an intern, a student, or whether they're an experienced professional who sees AI racing up to catch them, going beyond them, and want to stay on the breadth of, or want to stay abreast of the modern technologies. What's your advice to people for where to start? And I think you should mention the Academy, because I think it's an amazing tool. I dabble in technology, but you guys are far stronger than me, and I've learned a lot from going through the material there. But what's your advice to people who want to get started? What are the building blocks of getting into this technology?
Yeah, so one message. So a lot of people come to me, and there are two type of people that are there, right? One are who are the younger generation who are looking into getting into this field. So for them, the message becomes a little different compared to the senior executive. So I will start for the first section. Before it was coding I'm very bad. There was not easy to write. You needed to write everything manually. Now coding is fun. It's not, you don't need to write everything yourself. There are you just need to understand basic things in Python, and then you can start coding. So because I know a lot of people 8 years back, they hated coding. They said, I don't want to do coding. But now it is not that. So start exploring it. I have medical doctors who never touched and never seen a code. Now they are doing it. They're loving it. They're taking code from there, writing applications, using cursor. So first step is remove that barrier that coding is boring and it is bad. It's interesting.
Yeah.
And this is for the younger generation. Start learning these, playing around with Python. Start building stuffs. The best way to learn is start building small projects. Build your portfolio, build your projects, and understand the foundations. Right? Understand you may not need to go into a lot of depth about what is a large language model, but at least understand that it is more about giving proper prompts. More the information you give, better the output is there. Focusing on the data part. whatever RAG applications that you are building, try to name it properly, try to put it in a proper folder, try to structure it, learn those foundations that are there, and slowly build up. Because once you start building products, start building applications, your confidence level will increase. So go step by step. For foundations that you said, materials, we have a lot of materials. You can use any platform. I don't recommend anything specific. We have put everything at one place, because whatever is important, we have put it in one place, so you don't need to get confused in different platforms. So that is one option for you, but you can learn from anywhere. Join these type of challenges and hackathons, because it is a very good way to put, and I have personally, it's a lot of work in organizing these things, but it is the success stories that I've heard is amazing. Like, people have really come and thanked me. And even in our AI residency program, I have a capstone project at the end of the 4 months. A lot of people are lazy because they are already having a full-time job and family commitments. Sure. They're not able to complete that project. And I have tried a lot. I push them to join the challenge.
I know their pain.
Yeah, I push them to join this challenge, because in this challenge, there's a WhatsApp group. Everyone is submitting their submissions. They are chatting about it. So they get motivated. And it's 8 days. So every day you need to spend a few hours and do something. So they actually complete it.
Do you know, that's what struck me more than anything, is that with things like large language models, with natural language prompts for coding, what you can build in, you say 8 days, 2 to 5 days is my guide. I can build pretty much anything in 2 to 5 days, from things like video call transcribers to email managers to, I'm doing a photo catalog at the moment. That 5 day, that 8 day period, you can do a massive amount now if you've got your foundations in place that sort of guide you along the way. The hard bit is that will get you to 60, 70% completion. You've got a good working model, and the last 30% takes forever. But that polishing, but you don't need to go there unless you actually want to take a product to market. I think the reason why I do proofs of concept is because just the act of building and learning how you connect all these blocks together, it teaches me a lot on the way, and it helps guide me on other things. So the maker's mindset, I think, is really important. That whole staying curious, learning how to learn and how to use these advanced AI tools is a really critical skill. What I really liked about what you're saying earlier is that this explosion of new technology is being backed by investment in the community, in the government, in corporates. And there's a lot of fear around, is my job going to go away, being replaced by AI? I really liked what you're saying, because it makes me think that it's the reverse that's true. That job might change to include more elements of AI, but actually how much more is being created to take advantage of this new technology? These new data centers need people to operate them. These new tools need people to design, architect, and steer them. AI, for all we talk about agentic AI, it's not as end-to-end as people think at the moment. It needs people who understand it to be able to design, craft, tweak, and put it out there. So I'm really excited by what's going. But what do you see? What do you see out there?
So I just wanted to complete that about the people who are already in the working environment, who are already completed their engineering, and for them, whatever I mentioned is a good thing. But for people who are still thinking about studying, what to study, even doing masters, my message from them is try to get into the hardware side, the VLSI chip designing part, because there is an enormous scope there. Because right now what is happening, development is going to become generalist job. A lot of people are going to become coders. But the chip designing part, which is a huge industry, if you can see the investments that are going to happen in data centers,
that's interesting.
Everything that you need to run requires chips, memory, processors. And you need to have smarter engineers who can design efficient chips. And there is a field, we call it VLSI designing, chip designing. They do a lot of research. And if you see in our mobiles, in the last 10 years, how the memory and processors have become better. Smaller chips, more processing. So a lot of work happens there in the fabrication, in the chip designing. And this is a message that everyone who's listening here and who's thinking about doing masters or studying, there's a huge scope there. And try to get into the hardware side as well. And for the software side, for people who are already working, who don't want to get there, you will see a lot of new jobs also getting created, as you said. And you initially, first 5 years or few years will be a pain, where a lot of automations, you might have heard about the news about Microsoft laying off 6,000 employees. There will be a pain initially, but it is going to change, because a lot of new jobs are going to come. And you will, especially one area that I really feel, because in our community meetup in Friday, we had a talk about it, AI insecurities. Because now LLMs are there. A lot of companies are using it, but when any new technology comes, there is a dark side as well of it, right? You can get hacked easily. You can put prompt where inside your prompt engineering so that your data is getting leaked. So how to design these systems? And there is huge potential. Cybersecurity was a big boom. Now we have AI security, which is in the next few years, there are a lot of new jobs going to get created. So focus on these areas of making sure whatever AI applications that you are designing, how to make it at an enterprise level, secure, more data privacy issues are getting solved and making it safe for everyone to use. So you will see a huge job change that is going to happen in the couple of years. And one more thing I wanted to add when I was mentioning for the older people, senior executives, when they come to me and ask, what should I do here? Because they have never done coding. And for me, to make them understand that AI is very much different from IT projects. That is something that you need to learn. Understand these things. First, understand how these things work. What are the things that go behind? Because it's very much different, because AI is all about probability. It's not programmatic. It is deterministic. So you need to understand these things, understand the concepts that are there. Because if you're guiding an AI project in the executive level, you should at least learn not the coding part, but understand how things work. So I start with there. I tell everyone, in the future, if you're interested, I'm sure if they understand these things properly and if they have the time, they will go a little bit deeper. But first, have an overall understanding and be open to that. And AI, and especially in the UAE, you cannot escape from AI. No. You have to embrace it with positivity.
I think that's a great thing, though. So I'm struck by when I'm building proofs of concept, little tools in AI, one of the things that I'm very aware of is that I can only build as fast as I can, as effectively I can.
Yes.
Not because of knowledge of language syntax, because I'm coding thousands of lines in Python. I don't really know Python. I can read it, but I couldn't code it from scratch. If you asked me now to write Python with a laptop that wasn't connected to anything, I would struggle. Yeah. But that's not what's important here. What's important is understanding how to structure databases, how to put together code, how to architect code, how to put together design systems from a visual point of view, and how to connect user experience. These are things that I've been doing this for nearly 30 years, but these craft elements that come about because you know what you're doing, because you built products and taken them to market. My message to senior people is, as you say, don't be frightened of AI. This is a huge springboard for you, which allows you to fill in the gaps where before you might have relied on somebody else to do your visual design or somebody else to do your database building. Now, as long as you can understand the concepts behind how a database is effectively structured, you can do more with less, which is the ultimate promise of AI. I can't help thinking of 25 years ago, we used to build large enterprise platforms with 200 people on a project team. Yeah. And then it dropped to, say, 5-10 years ago, we'd do it with about 15, 20 people.
Yes.
Now what one person can do on their own is frightening. And whilst I'd never put a production level enterprise platform out built by one person, how far you can get with a single person using AI, LLMs to scaffold the areas that you don't know, to scaffold and build your learning around areas which you've never dealt with before, the pace is just so much accelerated. I'll give you an example at the moment. I'm looking at mapping some geolocation from a Google timeline for photographs, and I'm starting to learn about the open source tools which are already out there you can dip into, and how I can use Python to connect the two together, take metadata out of photo files, pull city information that's mapped to geolocations and latitude and longitude. I'd never done any of this a week ago. Same thing for facial recognition in photos. I've been learning about cosine and Euclidean facial detection methods. Again, 3 days ago, I didn't know anything about that. The way you can learn with this, just by asking in simple, natural language, English terms, or whatever your language of choice is, ask your ChatGPT, your Gemini, your Claude, how do I do this? I want to do this, but I don't really know how. Break it down for me in easy steps. That's how you get going. And I see so many people at the moment saying, I see what you're doing, but I wouldn't know where to start. Great. Go and ask your large language model and it'll tell you how to get started. Ask it in simple terms. Say, I don't know anything. Tell me the base steps to how to do this. What are the pieces that are involved? Tell me the architecture I'd need to run it, the pieces that I'd need to build to connect together to make it work. And then one by one, tell me how to do them. Yes. That's how you get started.
Agree with you. And this is something, one thing that I really liked what you said. You have experience, right? You said you have an experience. Everyone that is there, they have worked in whatever domain, healthcare, anything that they have. Domain knowledge is very important, because that is what AI is going to do. It's just going to make you a better version of yourself. So if you are
I like that.
if you are a good coder, you will become a better coder.
Yep.
If you are a worst coder, you may may not become that good coder.
You might become a mediocre
Yes,
coder,
you'll become
which is okay.
Yeah, which is okay. Yeah. So whatever level you are, like domain knowledge, like we are doing some trainings for an oil and gas data is, I don't understand that. It's too much. You need to be a chemical engineer to understand velocity, viscosity, so many things. As a domain knowledge, you will understand which variable, which feature is important, and you can use AI to make it better. So whatever you are doing in whichever field, try to use AI as your co-pilot to make you better. And this is never going to replace education, your domain knowledge, never. It is just going to be a tool. Like I just give example of internet. Internet was a tool that changed a lot of things, but still the core foundation are the same thing as AI going to do. It's just going to accelerate, make things easier. So a big analog is, we used to, before search, we used to type and search things. Now we are talking to it, and the AI is doing all the knowledge graph and getting all the information. So just a new way of interacting. It's making it easier as well. And nowadays, everyone who has the passion. So one thing that is important, they need to have the eagerness to do something.
Yes.
If that is there, you will do it. And that is the reason why, if you see, challenge is really fitting into this scenario, because a lot of people, even everyone, humans are meant to be in a comfort zone, right? If you say the brain will tell you are...
We're lazy, fundamentally.
We're lazy because that is how it is designed.
It's easy,
to be comfortable, right? But if you are in a panic situation, you will run. But if you are okay, that is how humans being are designed. That's the reason why corporates, colleges really work, because they have a deadline. You need to submit something at this time. That's why students do it. That is, if you don't have a deadline to do, like in our challenges, we have a deadline that you have to complete at 9 o'clock. If you don't do it, you will have late submission and your points will go less, or you will not be accepted. So I know people who have stayed up whole night to finish that because there was a deadline. So it makes people accountable. So that is the reason you need to have someone. If you're learning or in your work, you already have, because you're working and they're paying your bills, they're paying your salary, you're already accountable to them. But if you don't have this type of setup, you need to you need to join some challenges or some community to get accountability, because that is what is important. It's that I have seen a lot of people without much guidance, they had to do something, they did it because they had to do it. And this is what I feel we need to tell the people here who are listening to this as well. Get some accountable partner. It can be through, that is the reason why a lot of young kids who are in 11th and 12th are reaching out to me, Mohammed, do I really need to do college? 3 years. Whatever they teach, I already know it.
There's a good question. Good question.
And whatever they teach, I already know. They're a little bit bad at it. I say that no, you have to go through college. That is my message. Try to do your bachelor's, and if you get a chance, do your master's as well, because this gives you that accountability structure. What does a college make you do? If you see, it makes you give the exams, submit assignments. Even if you don't want to do it, you feel it's too boring. It's very...
I agree with that.
Yeah.
And I think, honestly, the biggest value of a degree as someone who hires people for teams is that having a degree shows you at a glance that this is somebody who can work for 3-4 years and complete the task that was in front of them.
Yes.
I was talking to a friend, Joe Fletcher, who is a great podcast collaborator of mine, talking about the whole Pixar thing about why they hire PhDs. Is because at some point that person was the smartest person in the world on their topic. So the topic itself, whether it's a degree, whether it's a PhD, it's not so important. It's the proof that you can work. It's the proof that you can dedicate yourself to something and complete it successfully and not get distracted. Because in this day and age, there's so much going on, and AI makes it worse. We've got so many dopamine sources that we can chase after. The fact that you can focus on something and complete it is probably the biggest indicator that you'll be successful in a role. I want to come back to something you said around being experts and how experts have an advantage using AI because they know the foundations of craft, but that can get a little bit disheartening for somebody who's new to the field to say, how do I compete with this person who's got 10 years coding experience when I'm coming in and there's 8,000 other people who are also going for the role? My advice to you is what I said before: focus on what you are expert in, and you're expert in you. So when I say build these proofs of concept, build them on use cases that are important to you, because you know that use case better than anybody else. If I build something for me, I will be far more accurate doing it than if you were to build it for me, because you don't know what's in my head. So take that use case, break it down to what you're trying to achieve for you and why, and then build against it, and then talk somebody else through.
Yes.
And always, because we're natural problem solvers, you'll show me something, I'll look at it and go, oh, I changed that, and I do this differently. But there will still be a large appreciation for how far you've got to get to this point where you have a working POC, something that we can play with, something I can see potential in. So that's my advice to somebody who doesn't have 3 years experience, 4 years experience. Show what you can do by doing. Don't just talk. Talk is cheap. Show by doing. Build something. Share what you've got. Put it out there. Don't worry about someone stealing your idea. Just put it out there so people can see it. Let them play with it and talk about it with passion.
Yes. So the same thing, if you remember when you were mentoring, you saw the demos and you gave amazing feedbacks. And some of them worked on those feedbacks to get the user journey.
Yeah, I was mean to them because I give them feedback as if I was giving it a project team who's been working on it for 3 months, and these guys have had a few days. So they were very good. I was very impressed with what they did.
So we are trying to create that ecosystem as people who are doing these projects, people who are doing demo, getting mentors like you to come and give them feedback on seeing their demos, and they improve. So this is something, and I really appreciate all the participants who put in their time to show something and improve on it, because it's a very good learning for us as well to see in a short span of time what all you can achieve. And what you mentioned is correct. Whatever you are at, whichever stage, start building it, give demos, talk about it, and you get feedbacks from mentors, try to improve in the next time. And regarding few skills that you told, because technology will keep on evolving, people will get smarter. 2-3 things are very important that I feel as I wanted to share with you as well as the audience is focus. That is very important. In this DNA age, in the time of reels, everyone is going for our attention span. So we need to focus. If you want to get something done, one thing is focus. And the second thing is attitude to keep learning. And this is very important because right now we are at a level, in the next few years, what is going to happen, we don't know. So you have to be open. And my journey is when I started building modeling 20 years back, I used to take 1 year to do a project. We used to do data cleaning ourselves, EDA, exploratory data analysis, weight of evidence, looking at the data manually, getting those. It was a whole process that we did, right? Nowadays we have auto ML. The same thing can be done in hours. So it's not that I feel bad. It's just evolving process. Now at least I understand the whole thing that has been done it by scratch. And now there are new things to make it easier. But I still have to understand what is happening. So you will keep learning and be open to that. Never question, why should we do this? Because right now what I see, I talk to some of my data scientist friends, they are a little hesitant to AI. They still feel that the traditional ML and they can do a lot of things for you. And that is good because they feel that they have spent so much time, money, energy, but things will change. You have to come up and you have to use these technologies and build more models, more faster and more for more categories. So you have to change, be ready for this change, be ready to learn. This is very important.
Yeah, and AI is such a big blanket term as well that it's used to cover so many things. I think the more that I play around with, this is ironic, but the more I play around with large language models, the less I find I use them. I start coming back to basics around, as you say, structuring data effectively, using most of what I do is probably machine learning and programmatic logic rather than AI. I use AI as my springboard to help build these things. There is a place for generative AI, and don't get me wrong, I do like Copilot when it auto-completes code for me when it gets it right. And when it writes, it's quite fun. Yesterday, it was writing on-screen prompts for user messages. I was like, okay, I've got to put up a message to the user at this stage. And it wrote it for me. I was like, oh, you do that as well, do you? Okay, great. That's not far off. So I was pleased by that. But I find that mostly what I come back to is an unpicking and say, actually, I don't want generative AI in there because I need a level of accuracy that it's not great for. What I want is programmatic. But it's an amazing way to learn how to do all of these things. It's amazing. I won't say it's a peer programmer with me. I don't like terms like it's a partner because I don't feel it is, but it's a nice crutch. It's a nice judgment-free friend that you can ask advice from and can give you suggestions. I do find, whilst I quite often find myself having to walk away from the screen, maybe I have to go and pick up the kids from the school run, I'll quite often leave a question in my ChatGPT to say, okay, I want to do this next. Tell me how to structure it and what I do in terms of steps. I walk away while it's generating its answer and I come back. By the time I've come back, I've had that time away from the screen to think, and I've got a pretty good answer in my head. I then go through it and see what I'm going to keep, and it's not always that much of it. So I think we need to sometimes fight the easy answers, fight the first answer that comes out of your large language model, and don't ask it closed questions. I think that's probably my biggest message at the moment is use it as a way to unpick what you're doing, to help you structure things, but don't get it to give you answers per se.
Yes, it's more like a research tool.
Yeah.
And yes, because for specific knowledge, it's a way of using it, right? You cannot use it as just a knowledge information, because it is at the end of the day a language model.
Yeah.
You need to give it how we use it is like giving a source of information, or using other tools like a notebook LM, where you give a document and try to understand from that.
Yeah.
Or maybe that is a better way to do it, or maybe simplify, brainstorm with yourself.
Yes.
And get an idea. And now coming to your one point that you mentioned about enterprises using these type of technologies, they are mostly doing it at the non-core verticals of their businesses. When I say non-core, most of the businesses, they are starting to use generative AI specifically for something that is not critical for the business, like customer chatbot, for marketing analytics, and they are looking at these use cases, and they are making sure everything is working fine. Then they are going to their critical businesses that are there, which are still being run on traditional algorithms, and because they want to be accurate. So most of the companies right now, most of the use cases are in this region specifically, are in the space where there is huge documents, where they want to analyze those documents quickly and even put it as an input to their traditional models, and for marketing and customer, because these are spaces where if there is some error as well, it's not that critical compared to if it is something to do with financial transactions or something to do with security and all those things. So we are seeing slowly the adoption going, companies seeing successful use cases and adapting it for their businesses. And it will take some time for, as you said, generative AI to really kick in, because one thing for businesses, especially the C-suite, is trust.
Yeah.
Even if there is one small mistake in these, and it can always happen in these generative AI tools, if you don't structure it properly, that will be a very negative impact.
Yeah, and I think people sometimes forget, when you've got a tool that seems all intelligent, all powerful at everything you could ask it, people can forget that at its heart it's a statistical prediction engine. So what you're getting is an averaging out of everything it can get its hands on across the internet, and you get an okay answer, but it's not an industry leading answer. It's not an industry changing answer. And that lateral thinking, that innovation, at least for now, it will always come from a human.
Yes.
So I think it's okay to use as a sounding board, but I always laugh when I see people say, "Oh, it's going to replace McKinsey."
No.
I'm like, why don't you try it? And those businesses that do use a large language model to define their business strategy, I think we'll start to see a widening gap between the people who've got rid of their strategists and the people who understand how to celebrate humans' sort of special sauce, their excellence that they bring to the table, alongside AI. I think that gap will get wider and wider until people start to embrace it.
Yes.
Let me hand back to you for final thoughts.
Sure.
Tell me one thing that you're really excited about at the moment in this field. What's really firing you up at the moment? And tell me what's your one message you want to leave the world with at the end of this chat.
Yes. I really like to just add one more point before I get this answer is, what you mentioned is, and this is my message to especially the younger generation who's listening to this, is whatever this AI is giving you back, don't completely blindly trust it. I use the word trust for corporates, but you as a user, never completely trust it. Always review it. This is a message to everyone. Never, because Google does search, it actually indexes and gives you output, so you can trust it. But ChatGPT is just a combination of words. You can never trust it. Whatever it is, code, any email, review it, read it. This is what I am seeing a lot of gaps in this, because people just take it and just put it across, and that is something that is a big one no that I want to give. Always review it. And that's why you mentioned very well that human is always going to be there in the loop. Human who reads it and understands it. So if you are even getting some output that you don't understand and you are just using it, that is not a good sign. Whatever it is, try to understand it. If you're not understanding it, tell it to break it down into simple sentences. Make sure, because end of the day, whatever AI does, you are going to be accountable.
Yeah, when it doesn't work, you're the one that's going to fix it, so you better understand it.
Yes, you are the person who's sending it or pressing a submit button, and that is always going to happen. You will see a lot of stories where people are making such mistakes, so you have to be careful. That is one message. And the final closing thoughts is, take it positively, learn about it, and But I'm also learning every day. I'm also really passionate, and I really thank the community and thank people like you who are sharing knowledge. And because we all have to learn together, the things are moving so fast. And thank you for inviting me for this amazing podcast. It was
I
really-
love that. That's amazing.
Yeah.
No, it's been a great discussion. Thanks for this. I'm sure we'll do another one soon.
Thank you, Andrew.